Welcome everyone. In this video, we're going to be going over the Wild Knight YumYum deck of the Vibes TCG. It's been a while since I last did the deck guide for this deck, and there's been some changes, so I thought this would be a good time to update it. This deck has some really good matchups in the current metagame because it's one of the only decks that runs a board clear. It's also super fun to play, and it's definitely powerful enough to reach the rank of Dummy Thick. In this video, we're going to first talk through all of the cards that make up the deck. Then we're going to talk through some budget substitutions and tech cards. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about the strategy of the deck, including how to mulligan, and then we'll jump into some gameplay to see how the deck works. All right, let's dive in. So right now, there's two different ways to build the YumYum deck. I think the first of these is the one that we're talking about here, which is really focused on more of an action-heavy version of the deck. And really the centerpiece of the deck is Prepare for a Wild Night. Prepare for a Wild Night says reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, put all action cards you reveal into your hands, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this card is absolutely insane from the standpoint if you have a bunch of actions in your deck. Because like card draw is pretty rare in vibes right now and pretty expensive. But with this card, you can easily hit 3, maybe even 4 cards with it if you get lucky. And so therefore, by running a lot of actions and really maximizing the value of this card of Prepare for a Wild Night, that's kind of what this build centers around. Now, the other option for the YumYum build is a much more penguin heavy build, and that doesn't run Prepare for a Wild Night at all. But yeah, so in this version of the deck, we're really focusing on the spells. So let's talk about all the other spells that go in the deck. So the first one is YumYum. So YumYum is the namesake of the deck. It basically just says ice all penguins, and right, the YumYum deck is just this really like kind of more like controlling deck where you can kind of sit back, play out your penguins, play YumYum, clear the board, and then get a lot of card advantage through that board clear. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that works. And then you rebuild quickly after to win the game. So it's kind of, I don't even know if I want to call it a combo control deck because it's also kind of plays like a combo deck. So it's somewhere in that like thing between combo and control. But the really nice thing about this deck also is it can still play like an aggressive deck just because it does have the yellow penguin package. The next action is GotEm. So GotEm, the reason we play this is because of Popcorn Penguin, right? Because as a yellow deck, Popcorn Penguin can be really brutal if you're not able to handle it. And so, especially if they play it on turn 4, because right with GotEm, you can ice a penguin with vibe 2 or less. And so the Popcorn Penguin can come out on turn 3 if they win the vibe check or 4, but unboosted vibe. And so with GotEm, you can control that. And so, like, one of the kind of weird ways to handle popcorn in this deck is right. If they play it early, you play GotEm. And then the next action we'll talk about, Not Your Keys, just basically says choose a penguin and ice it. And we have this for Popcorn Penguin once we have at least 4 Pudge. Well, you need actually probably around 6 Pudge to play this, right? Because a Popcorn Penguin will remove probably either your PotStirringPenguin or your Wizard Penguin. So, right, if the Popcorn Penguin gets buffed, you've normally had enough time to play out enough Pudge to be able to play Not Your Keys. And if they play it unbuffed, you have GotEm. So with Not Your Keys and GotEm together, you can handle at least 1 Popcorn Penguin. We talked about Prepare for a Wild Night. Then we have BuddyUp. This is one of the finishers in the deck. So we run a finishing package of 3 BuddyUps and 2 Put Your Flippers in the Air. So in general, BuddyUp is always better than Put Your Flippers, just because the way this deck works, you go wide. It can flop penguins, especially against green. However, the one card that BuddyUp cannot handle is green Mega Penguin. And so because of that, we actually have to run the Put Your Flippers in the Air, which basically is a really good way to play around the caffeine green Mega Penguin build. So in general, I would prefer just to run 4 BuddyUps, honestly. But because that other deck exists, we basically end up running 5 finishers with 3 BuddyUps and 2 Put Your Flippers in the Air. The other action that we didn't talk about yet is Check the Yellow Pages. Some more card draw. In this deck, this card is definitely not very strong relative to other builds, just because you run a lot of actions, and so this usually only hits about 1.5 penguin cards on average. But right, there's really not a lot of other stuff to do with your Pudge in the early turns, and it really isn't here because it's a good target for Prepare for a Wild Night. So yeah, it rounds out the actions, but it's definitely not as strong, and I would never keep this in a mulligan. All right, so that does the actions. So let's talk a little bit about the penguin package. So first, let's talk about the penguins that are meant to work well with YumYum. So the first is Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. Basically says whenever another yellow penguin in your huddle's ice, draw a card. So the way this combo works is you have Penguin That Doesn't Mind Goodbyes on the board, then you play YumYum, and you clear the board, but you draw a card for every penguin you cleared. So then after the board gets cleared, you can quickly repopulate the board. And the other penguin that works really well with YumYum is LuckyPenguin, which is whenever this penguin is put into your ice from play, you may pick a yellow penguin card from your ice with a vibe of 2 or less and put that into your huddle. So the way this works is you basically have your lucky penguin on the board, you play YumYum, it gets iced, and then you get another penguin back on the board. Plus, as long as you take something other than a wizard penguin, it comes in unflopped, so you win the vibe check, which gives you initiative for the turn after you drew all those cards. Plus, you don't even want to draw cards at that point from the Baron because you will have drawn so many cards because of the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. And then you'll quickly play like 3 or 4 penguins, and then you'll kind of win the game from there. So that's Lucky Penguin. And the one card that goes really well with Lucky Penguin is Extrovert Penguin. So we only play 2 copies of this just because it is kind of an awkward, expensive card. Um, but it basically says whenever another penguin enters your huddle, put 2 vibe counters on this penguin. So it is kind of this like mid-game threat, but because because it starts with 2 vibe, it can partner with Lucky Penguin. And if you have 2 Lucky Penguins on the board, you can actually bring your extrovert back first, and then you bring back another penguin, and the extrovert already has 4 vibe to start. So, so this combos really well with Lucky Penguin. Then the rest of the penguins, you've got your Pudge producers. So we're playing Yellow Wizard Penguin, right? 2 Pudge enters flopped, amazing, and Pot Storing, which is also super strong as a Pudge producer because it also almost always produces 2 Pudge. Then we have Flying Penguin just to win the early game, and it can often just slot really nicely into the mana curve. So the other thing about Flying Penguin to keep in mind is, right, because we want to get a lot of Pudge quickly on one turn to either play NotYourKeys or YumYum, right? Flying Penguin can often just really help you just power out a bunch of penguins. Plus, also, if you draw a giant hand with a penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, then Flying Penguin is pretty good for filling that out. We have Daydreaming Penguin. So this, first of all, this works really well against Bizbunk in blue for removing the penguin who's okay. But it's also just a standard a 2-fish penguin, which you just want a lot of in this deck. Plus, on top of that, the really nice thing about Daydreaming Penguin is it can work with Penguin who doesn't mind goodbyes to draw a card. And so sometimes in the late game, you just really need to draw an out, and you have Daydreaming Penguins on the board. You can make them basically ice themselves or other penguins, draw some extra cards, and maybe dig for that YumYum or that NotYourKeys or that BuddyUp that you need to close out the game. And then the last card, we only play 2 copies of this, which is Penguin Who's Late to the Party. This card is just so strong after the YumYum turn because you play YumYum, you get initiative, you maybe have 1 penguin on the board because of Lucky Penguin. Then you basically just play 2 penguins. You play like a Flying Penguin and a Penguin Who's Late to the Party, and all of a sudden you have an 8/5 penguin. And so you can then it's sometimes hard for your opponent to then get back on the board quickly and deal with your Penguin Who's Late to the Party. It's also can be really good for BuddyUp because with BuddyUp, right, you just need to flop everything up until your highest vibe penguin, or up until everything that's at least equal to your highest vibe penguin. You have to flop those as well if you don't have the Baron. And so then, yeah, with that, Penguin Who's Late to the Party can just really help you need less penguins for BuddyUp. All right, so that's a list. So let's talk real quick about some tech choices and budget substitutions. So in the tech choice department, the first card that I would definitely consider is Bunkus. So this deck does not have a good matchup against blue. Like I find that you struggle a lot against blue, and so putting in a Bunkus can really help the blue matchup. So one of the problems with Bunkus though is, or any tech cards in this deck, is every time you're putting in a tech card, you basically are making your Check the Yellow Pages and your Prepare for Wild Night worse. So I personally prefer just to run this deck without any tech cards, just because like you're making your card draw worse, and this deck really revolves around both of the pieces of card draw. But if you're facing a lot of blue, definitely consider Bunkus. For the mirror match, Inspiring Story can be very good. So Inspiring Story, right? It also is kind of nice because it survives a YumYum, but it has that downside where the card draw doesn't work for it. So that's why, I don't think it's actually worth running. But if you're facing a lot of the mirror matchup, Inspiring Story can be very good because it really pushes you over the edge in the mirror matchup. One other card to consider playing is What a Twist. If you are playing a lot of green that's using the Juggler Clam combo, What a Twist could be useful. Although I still find in that situation, generally just having the YumYum to kind of clear the board is kind of better on those key turns anyway. If you're not seeing any green mega caffeine builds, you could consider cutting the what's it called? Cutting the Put Your Flippers in the Air completely. and then just playing 4 copies of BuddyUp as well as another kind of tech-related choice. But yeah, so I think that's the end of the tech cards. In general, I think this is a deck that you really don't want to tech a lot, and you kind of just play the pure deck. All right, so let's talk a little bit about budget substitutions. So, right, when we look at the rare cards in this deck, we basically have YumYum. I think for YumYum, you can get away with running just 2 copies of it. And then let's see what else. But yeah, if you have less than 2 copies of it, you just don't play this deck, unfortunately. This then just play some sort of mid-range yellow deck. And maybe if you have one YumYum, I would just play a mid-range yellow deck with a YumYum kind of teched in. But I think to really build around YumYum, you want at least 2 copies of it. And if you only have 2 copies, you definitely want to play this version of the deck with Prepare for a Wild Night. Because if you're playing the more penguin heavy deck, then without Prepare for a Wild Night, you definitely want at least 3 YumYums. Let's see the other rare cards in here. I think that's it, right? Oh, it's GotEm. Yeah, so GotEm, right? You should play however many GotEms you have. But if you don't have GotEms, I would just kind of fill out the rest of the deck with just some more yellow penguins. So I think you could definitely put play 4 buddy ups. You could play another flipper. You could play more extroverts. You could play more penguin who's late to the party. So if you don't have GotEm, right, just remove the GotEms and just fill out those other cards I mentioned. And if you're missing just other cards, just random other yellow penguins, you can definitely run the penguin who doesn't bring penguin who might bring a +1. Like this is the card I would run because it still has a decent rate of hitting even in this type of build. And yeah, you could run Mysterious Penguin. Not great in this deck, but it's still would work if you don't have any other yellow penguins to put in. And then also Penguin Who Zooms could also kind of go in, or the Penguin of the Falling Leaves. So in general, this is a very cheap deck to build. There's a lot of other options of cards to put in. So yeah, so I think as long as you have at least 2 YumYums, you and 4 Prepare for Wild Nights, you should be good to go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Mulligans. So in this deck, so I'm always looking for a GotEm because I'm trying to deal with popcorn, and I would also therefore always keep a Not Your Keys to deal with popcorn. So like, let's say that we have a Not Your Keys, then I definitely want to look for a curve in order to be able to play it quickly. So the mana producing penguins are really good. So Pot Stirring and Yellow Wizard, but I would only keep these if I have cards that go with them. Definitely Prepare for a Wild Night is also a card I would definitely keep 1 copy of, and Flying Penguin is also really good to get the fast start. So that's kind of like the core things I'm looking for. I would keep a Lucky Penguin if I had a decent hand, and I do sometimes keep Penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes with YumYum because that's like the core combo of the deck. So if the rest of your hand is strong already, like if you feel like you have a good start, like say you have like a GotEm, a Flying Penguin, and a Wizard Penguin, and a Penguin who doesn't mind goodbyes and YumYum, I would consider full keeping that just because right the combo. Like sometimes you can lose a game just because you don't find the Penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes and YumYum combo. So having them together could definitely just already alleviate you losing to just having a really bad draw. Plus, keep in mind with vibes, whenever you mulligan, the cards go on the bottom of your deck. So if you have like 2 YumYums in your opening hand, you just got to keep one because if you don't keep them, you're gonna have 2 YumYums on the bottom of your deck, which you probably won't see for the rest of the game. Although with this deck, you do draw a lot, right? So you can end up cycling through your whole deck. So, but yeah, it's kind of risky to put them down there. So in that case, you'd have to keep one in your hand, but that's not really ideal. As for the strategy of the deck, basically, you're really just trying to get to a fast start to get a lot of penguins on the board. You're trying to draw through your deck aggressively with Prepare for a Wild Night and Check the Yellow Pages. Then you want to kind of set up for your combo. So you drop a penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, and then you play YumYum with some lucky penguins on the board. You clear the board, and you then quickly repopulate. I think a few things to keep in mind. So the first thing is, how are your opponents going to play around you? Right? When you play your penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, they will try to, as soon as you play YumYum, remove your penguin who doesn't mind goodbyes. Right? And then you won't get the card draw from it. So there's 2 ways to kind of play around this. The first one is you wait to play YumYum until they don't have Pudge available in order to play the removal, or you force them to have to play their removal first. So if you set up a winning position on the board, right, they have to play the removal, and then you can play the YumYum in response to that. Or you can get into a position where you play a second penguin who doesn't mind goodbyes. In which case, then if they remove one, you'll still be fine. Or you can kind of how do you say this? Like, right, you can actually win the game without the combo. So this is something that happens to me a lot when I play against this deck is, right, they will kind of put the game into this like awkward tension position where it's like I have to do something to, you know, like if I don't do anything, they're gonna play buddy up and win the game. So therefore, I have to do something. In which case, then they yum yum and win the game. So the one other thing that to keep in mind is you don't actually need to play Penguin Who Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. Like if you have, let's say, two lucky penguins on the board, an extrovert in your ice, and your opponent has gone decently wide, right? Yum Yum on its own can still be card advantage because let's say that you have like let's say you have five penguins on the board, but two of them are lucky penguins, and they have like, let's say, four or five penguins themselves. Plus, you've just drawn a lot of cards with Prepare for a Wild Night or Check the Yellow Pages. So, like in that situation, you can still actually be card advantage ahead. You clear the board, you probably take out a nice big threat from their side, and then you can still be in a really good position post clearing the board, especially if you can get the extrovert to come back with Lucky Penguin. Because then you kind of like, let's say you clear the board, even if you didn't draw a lot of cards, you still had a penguin who's late to the party in your hand, right? The extrovert comes on the board, and then maybe also a pot stirring. So now the extrovert is at 4 vibe. Then you win the vibe check, passes to you. You play penguin who's late to the party. So now you have a 6 vibe and an 8 vibe, and maybe you have a not your keys in your hand or something like that, and you can easily win the game from that type of position as well. So that finishes the strategy section of this video. So let's jump into some games and see how the deck performs. All right, taking a look at the mulligans, what we have here. Okay, so we definitely want to keep GotEm because, right, to think about Popcorn Penguin. I think I'll keep yeah, definitely don't keep Flippers or Buddy Up. So then the question is these other two penguins. I don't think I want to keep more than one two drop. So I think I will keep yeah, I think I'll keep the pot stirring penguin because we already have GotEm, so we don't really need the daydreaming. Maybe right if this is Bizbunk, we would probably prefer the daydreaming, but yeah, I think this is a good keep like that. All right, so then let's see. Okay, so we got a nice curve of penguins. So right, we'll play GotEm on turn one, and then yeah. So let's see. So we have the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes already, and lucky penguin. So a YumYum would really fill out this hand well, and we also don't have any of our card draw. So looking for the YumYum or the card draw could be very useful. So that's kind of what we're waiting for. And again, I think one thing that I didn't really talk about a lot before is, but with this deck, you generally want to lose a vibe check. Okay, so we have, let's see. So we have a lot of these Pudgy Penguins, but against green or caffeine, right, there's going to be a popcorn to deal with. So, okay, so I think we'll play the wizard this turn for sure. So the question is, I think the late to the party can be the rod. Um, so okay, so if this is caffeine, we really need the flippers, and if this is like a green, a kind of like a buffy green mid-rangey type deck, or maybe even aggro, then buddy up is going to be super useful. So we did throw one of each away. So okay, so they're going to play GotEm. So that's not the end of the world because right we do have the pot stirring and the yeah the double pot stirring. So yeah okay okay, so do we want to play Lucky Penguin next turn? Because I do kind of want to keep losing the vibe check, although I guess tying it wouldn't be the end of the world. Because I don't really need. Okay, so we got another GotEm, so that'll be perfect for the rod. And then I think, yeah, I think we'll just kind of play out the mana curve as it comes because we can play Lucky Penguin this turn. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna lose the vibe check anyway. So we definitely play Lucky Penguin this turn. Plus, we already have a penguin in our ice in order to take advantage of the ability in case they remove it. So then, okay, yeah, so we'll be doing, um, yeah, so we can play like double pot stirring penguin, and with, yeah, so we still haven't found any of our actions. So we really need a, um, yeah, so we're really looking for a prepare for a wild night would be super good. So okay, so because we have two penguin that does mind goodbyes, we definitely want to just try to get to six pudge as quickly as possible. And okay, so there's check the yellow pages. So so do we want two penguin that does mind goodbyes? I think we don't because right, if they play a popcorn next turn, we're gonna need to be able to fight through it. So I think yeah, double penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes is not necessary. And right, thinking about the popcorn, because now that they've inspiring story, our GotEm doesn't work anymore. So we're gonna need to get a not your keys anyway. But at least we're gonna get some card draw here, although it's not the card draw we want. So right, we're just gonna get some yellow penguins here. So what would be good here? Hmm, well, that's not good to miss the YumYum. So that's unfortunate. But right, we are in a situation here where a BuddyUp could basically win us a game, I think, because we do okay, so we have the Not Your Keys, perfect. So if they play a popcorn this turn, we'll be able to remove it with Not Your Keys, which is exactly what we need to do. And I'm not really worried about committing too much to the board because we have the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. Okay, so now we have the YumYum as well. So okay, so I think so they didn't play the popcorn this turn, but okay, so we'll wanna yeah, we definitely want to play the yeah, I guess the flying penguin is not hmm. Yeah, because I definitely need to play a rod this turn. That's for sure. And I want to keep not your keys, and I want the extra pudge on the board. So I think which one of these two do I want on the board? I guess I would rather have the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes because there's some small chance that if I get 3 lucky penguins, right, then I would rather have this be on the board. But I really want to go wide. Um, and actually, what would be amazing is if I can play Penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes with 9 pudge on the board. How much do I have? I have 7. Okay, so and it would be 8. So it's not quite good because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to play YumYum, and then if they play Walk the Runway, I then not your keys in return. So okay, so we have put your flippers too. So we do have a kind of a finisher, but we are yeah, so if they go for the win here, if they go to 14, then we're gonna have to do something this turn. But okay, they didn't do that. So okay, so we have a not your keys. Okay, so I think this doesn't look like a mega caffeine build. So I think we'll actually use the put your flippers as the rod. So right, the nice thing about playing the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes now is if they happen to if they try to remove it, I can YumYum in response. So that puts me in a good position now. But right, wait, do I actually have enough? I have enough pudge actually where I could, right, I could YumYum. So maybe I should do that this turn because if I YumYum here, is that just gonna put me in the really good winning position with 2 not your keys in my hand? Because if I YumYum, that's 5 pudge. And I still have 4 left for the to basically play. Yeah, so maybe I should do it. I would draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would draw 6 cards, and I'd have 2 not your keys in my hand. So I think, yeah, let's just actually do it now. Because if we wait and they play a popcorn, that could actually. Mm, should we greet it out one? No, I think we just play it now. I think we just play this. So maybe this is wrong, right? Maybe we should wait. But okay, so they're not going to play anything. Okay, so we'll keep both the not your keys in our hand, and so hmm. Yeah, so I like again, the reason I did this play was because I have the 2 not your keys in my hand, which means that we should be able to kind of like very quickly recover back onto the board. And right, well, if they like play something big, all right, so what do we want back? We definitely want um do I want to win the vibe check? No, I think I want to get the wizard penguin back so that I'm guaranteed to have 3 pudge because I actually didn't draw a lot of penguins. So, maybe that was hmm. Yeah, because I'm gonna need to just remove a lot of their penguins. So if they have the mega penguin, that's gonna be problematic. But this kind of looked like the type of list that's not running the mega penguin. So okay, so let's see. Okay, so now we get okay, so we definitely want to play all our penguins in. The Gotham is the rod, just because it's useless as everything else. And so the question here is, what are we gonna do? So we could either play Not Your Keys to remove this, but I think I actually want to play Check the Yellow Pages because I want to get as many penguins as possible so I can probably play 2 actions the following turn. So let's do Check the Yellow Pages. And because, right, if we play enough penguins that we can next turn play a Not Your Keys and one of our draw cards. All right, so okay, nice. We got an extrovert and a wizard. So the wizard's a little unfortunate because it's going to come into play flopped, which is not going to be what we really want. But um, we have the extrovert, and so like, do we have so right? Yeah, we should be able to buy at least one more turn with our not your keys. So right, because even if they go to 14, we can remove everything. Now, if they play a popcorn penguin, it is going to be maybe if they play a popcorn penguin, no, we're still fine because no, we won't be fine. If they play a popcorn penguin, so if they play a popcorn penguin and a rod, we would have to draw another penguin. So I'm kind of feeling maybe that YumYum was a little premature. So I'm not really sure. And maybe I should have just not your keys the sliding penguin while I had the chance. Okay, well they didn't do anything. So we'll definitely play the extrovert and the yellow wizard penguin. And I think okay, so what are we gonna do as a rod? So this turn we're going to definitely play not your keys on the sliding penguin because we don't really need yeah, I don't think we're gonna have time to play all this card draw. So I'm gonna play a check the yellow pages as a rod because we're just gonna be playing a not your keys basically every turn from now on, just because I'm trying to think about like how do we lose? And we would definitely lose if for some reason we can't keep control of the board. Now the good news is our extrovert is going to be able to grow, so it will be able to outgrow most things that they play. Um, but yeah, so let's get rid of the sliding penguin, and then yeah, then I think we'll be in a good position because we're going to be at yeah, we're going to win the vibe check, so we're going to easily be at 14. We can play not your keys to remove what they play. If they play like a Romulus or something like that. We may not win this upcoming turn, but we can definitely buy at least one more turn. And if we don't win, oh, buddy up. So buddy up is perfect. Okay, so I think, hmm, yeah, I should play a rod just in case they have like a popcorn that we can still win. We'll probably play buddy up this turn. So I think I'll play the check the yellow pages as the rod. So I think we should be in a good position because I think with buddy up, um, and not your keys. So if they play like double popcorn, that would be a problem for us. But yeah, single Romulus, Romulus and blossoming. So we should be able to with Buddy Up. Well, we could try not your keys. Actually, no, yeah, we I guess we do Buddy Up. So Buddy Up should win. Yeah, so I think we do Buddy Up, and right, we can flop two of their penguins, and maybe they have some what a twists, but we can at least just get those out of the way now. And if they don't have yeah, so let's see. Maybe they have, like, some combination of what a twist. Nope. Okay, cool. Alright, so good first match. I guess the one thing I would say is this is a very good match, like, yellow into green. Yellow has a very, very good matchup, so, like, I think this is one of the decks in the metagame that the just yellow decks in general are good against, and the YumYum deck is no exception, just because Buddy Up is just it's just so hard for them to deal with. Alright, cool. So, let's jump to the next game. All right, taking a look at our next hand. All right, so we've got already Yellow Wizard Penguin into Lucky Penguin with a Wild Knight, which is great. Then we also have Doesn't Mind Goodbyes. I think in this type of hand, I would actually keep this because if we do already have a good turn 2 and 3 and not your keys, we also want to keep this to deal with popcorn. So overall, I think this is about as good of a hand as we're going to get. I like I like keeping the Doesn't Mind Goodbyes because of the Prepare for Wild Night to get the YumYum. All right, so let's see. Yeah, so we'll use flippers as a rod. So that means we only have one flippers left in our deck. So and there's no ways to get rods back in this. So if this ends up being a caffeine deck, we are going to be stuck with, yeah, with using the YumYum to clear it, I guess. But okay, so that's a little bit risky, putting the flippers as a rod without knowing what their deck is. But everything else is, yeah. Okay, so now, oof, this is very difficult. So I don't, hmm. Yeah, because I want to keep I guess I will use the YumYum as a rod just because, well, we have two more YumYums in the deck. We do have the Wild Knight to maybe draw it. I do really want to keep Not Your Keys in case there's a popcorn. Um, I need to keep, should I get rid of the Lucky? No, I need that for the Wild Knight. So I guess, yeah, I guess YumYum is what's going to have to become the rod. But oof, that hurts. So, all right, so we're only down to two more YumYums. So this could become potentially a problem for us. All right, so this is some sort of green. Okay, or caffeine. So if this is yeah, so if this is a caffeine, right, we're really looking for that one flippers. And if it's a yeah, if it's a normal green deck, buddy up will be very helpful. Okay, so we got another card draw card. So okay, so this is looking more more not like caffeine, so that's good. All right, so what do we want to play here? Um, so okay, so I guess we'll play a lucky penguin as a rod, I guess. Oof, I don't know. This is this is very difficult. I'm not quite sure exactly the right way to play this. Okay, so we're gonna play the check the yellow pages first before we play the wild knight, just because we really need penguins to play next turn. Okay, so we got another penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, and a pot stirring. So I think if they play a what's it called? If they play a popcorn this turn, we should be able. Actually, I don't even know if we'll be able to handle it. Um, no, we still wouldn't be able to handle it. But I guess if they play a what's it called? A popcorn at this point, maybe we can get to the point where the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes remains. So yeah, I'm definitely not sure about some of our rotting choices. I really want this yum yum back. But you know, okay, so now okay, we definitely have too much card draw. Or I guess no, penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. We definitely don't need two of that. So we'll get rid of one of those. And I think we keep yeah, so do we play the check the yellow pages this turn? I think so, because we really need penguins. So we just keep drawing. Hopefully we'll get some more penguins. And then like right, if we can get a buddy up. Okay, so we got one penguin. Okay. Not ideal. But actually one penguin makes a huge difference because that means we can play both of our prepare for a wild nights next turn. And it's getting to the point where we're going to need to be ready to win here because they're approaching the end. Okay, another penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. So that can be our rod. Although getting two of those down isn't the end of the world. So this definitely is looking like it's going to be a like buddy up type game. Okay, so we'll play. Yeah, so I think we'll play both of these. We'll play the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. And the hope is that we get well, we're gonna get 10 cards deep with both of these card draw cards. So what do we really want? We want well, YumYum could be interesting because with a YumYum we can reset the board. All right, put your flippers, not great. So let's see what we get here. So and a buddy up. A buddy up could be very good because if we get a buddy up, it's gonna force them. Okay, so now we got okay, that is a prepare for a wild night. That's kind of why we play the game is for that type of hand. Okay, so now so what's happening here? So I think we can use buddy up to kind of force them, right? Force them to do something like a because if we play buddy up, right, their response would be an everybody stay clam, right? But if we can get them, we have three buddy ups in our hand. So if we can just get them to play a stay clam without being at 15, which should be able to happen this turn. That should be good. The penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes, right, will be a problem if they right because they might have the walk the runway. So we need to really think about walk the runway. Um, but we also have not your keys. So yeah, because they're going to go to 14, and I think we wanted to force them. Yeah. Okay. So they're gonna give us one more turn. So okay. So we're gonna play GotEm. So penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. So the question is, um, can we? Because right, if they do walk the runway, we can then do not your keys on the other side of it. So we should be on a good spot. So do we want to actually do anything this turn? Right, because we can do four. We're one pud short of doing the what's it called? The not your keys and the yum yum together. So we'll do that next turn. We don't need to do anything this turn because yeah. So I think we just pass. Yeah, we just pass this turn. They're at 13. And then next turn, we just play Yum Yum. They do walk the runway, then we do not your keys, and then we should be in a good spot. So, I mean, right, if they have double, right, or maybe they're planning some sort of stay clam victory, but right, the stay clam, the Yum Yum will handle as well. So I think, okay, so they're gonna play popcorn. So this means we're not gonna be able to do the, okay, well, so we're gonna play Lucky Penguin anyway. So right, we can play Lucky Penguin. But right at this point, I'm kind of thinking that right. So they're going to remove. Let's say that they remove the wizard penguin. That means we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this can get us to 8, but 8 isn't sufficient, right? So we want to just kind of. I think we're just going to win on the other side of. on the other side of this YumYum, because I'm assuming they're gonna have Walk the Runway here. And because there's no way we can play around Walk the Runway. So I think so what do we wanna do? I don't think we need I wanna keep Put Your Flippers. I really doubt that they have a green Mega Penguin, but if for some reason they do, let's just play around that. And so we'll play the BuddyUp, and we'll keep the, Flying Penguin back. And so, right, what this is gonna enable us to do is, with the Lucky Penguin, right, we're going to be able to, yeah. Oh, and then nice, we're gonna actually draw a card with Penguin that does Mind Goodbyes. Yeah, okay, so even if they counter our, YumYum, then we still will be in a great position. And then the other thing, another play here is, right, when we play YumYum, we wanna keep the Daydreaming Penguin unflopped. And the reason for that is so that if they end up doing Walk the Runway here, we'll use Daydreaming Penguin on our Yellow Wizard Penguin in order to draw 2 cards with Penguin that does Mind Goodbyes. So, yeah, so we're gonna go really deep into our deck. Plus, we're gonna have, the card advantage of this YumYum is still not bad because, right, we're gonna gain the 2 cards on board from the Lucky Penguin, and look at our hand compared to theirs. So, I feel like we're in a really good position, even if they do Walk the Runway here, to deal with a Penguin that does Mind Goodbyes. So, again, right, I just think we're in such a great position here. So let's see what they do, because, right, even if they Walk the Runway, we're still gonna get 2 cards from Lucky Penguin. So, right, it'll be a 1 for 1 for the Walk the Runway for the YumYum. We then draw 2 cards get 2 cards from Lucky Penguin and 2 cards from Daydreaming Penguin, which means that we're basically it's like a card advantage plus 4 play, which is kind of insane because we already have are quite ahead on the card advantage game. Now they are a little ahead on tempo because they have all these rods, but again, we have 2 Not Your Keys, so we'll be in a good position post this resolving. And right, we kept the Put Your Flippers just because I think it's very unlikely that they have a Mega Penguin just based on the other cards they've been playing. But I want to just in case they have it. And so we have all these Not Your Keys. So we want to just get super aggressive onto the board, and then we're going to just have Not Your Keys to remove everything. So we definitely want the we want all the pudge we can get. So I think because we have so much we have so many actions in our hand, right? Because we're just gonna play just Not Your Keys like crazy. And so the question is, can we actually get to 14 to set up a win next turn? I'm not sure about that. But again, so this is another place where the Penguin Who's Late to the Party is a really strong card, because what we're going to see here is, right, it's going to come in, it's going to be 8-5. So let's see what we want. So we definitely want to play the Penguin Who's Late to the Party. Um, I think I think the Lucky Penguin is not bad. Well, okay, how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 pudge, and I want to just go as wide as possible to win with BuddyUp. So I think we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I think we'll hold the Lucky Penguin back, because we can basically go like this, and then, right, we're gonna go one more. So what do we want? I guess we can play one Not Your Keys. Yeah, I think we're setting up for the win. So what could they do around this? Yeah, okay. So nothing apparently. All right, cool. So another victory in the books for the Yellow Pages YumYum deck. All right, let's jump to the next game. All right. So taking a look at the mulligan. So I think I want to keep a GotEm for sure. I don't think we need to keep multiple GotEms. And right, because Prepare for a Wild Night is so strong, I'm going to keep one. I still always go back and forth if that's the right play. So well, we got 2 of them now. So okay, so we have not a bad start, right? We're going to be able to. We just need to pick up one more penguin. So the only unfortunate thing is we're going to be winning the vibe checks, and we really want to be losing the vibe checks here. So that's the one thing I don't like, but we're gonna with 2 prepare for wild nights, if we can get around in order to get well, okay, so I guess we're tying the vibe check. So it's some sort of well, it could be so it's either yellow or it's going to be what's it called? It's gonna be some sort of like some sort of caffeine build running the yellow 1 drop. So okay, well, we got another Gotham. So Gotham is good against yellow for certain situations, like if they play an extrovert. But yeah, so okay, so I really need to draw. I need one more penguin, right, in order to get my prepare for wild nights out. So that's the big question. Is can we get another penguin? So okay, we're gonna lose the vibe check here. So that's exciting because right, we do actually always want to lose the vibe check. Well, maybe not always, because we do need to get to 6. We need to get to 6 pudge in order to our 6 fish in order to play the Penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. So, but this is okay, so they're running Penguin Who Zooms. So this is a different version of this deck, for sure, that is maybe a bit more penguin focused. Okay, so we really need a penguin here. Okay, we didn't get a penguin. So okay, we'll play BuddyUp as a rod just because in case we draw ExtrovertPenguin next turn, right? It'll still give us that as an out in order to right, we want as many outs to get to 3 Pudge because we really like once we play Prepare for a Wild Night, we should be able to play rods, the spells we get as rods. Um, so okay, so let's see. So okay, so they didn't have any card draw, so they don't have any of the card draw cards. So that's not bad. Okay, so okay, check the yellow pages, also not what we need. So yeah, so I'm starting to think, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have kept Prepare for Wild Night in the opener. Because, right, what that kind of forced us to do is not have penguins. Okay, so we're still So I really want to check the yellow pages because I want penguins. I think at this point, yeah, I think I'm gonna just play Buddy Up as a rod, and I'm just gonna go all in on the idea that we're gonna have to clear the board. So the question is, do we want to do some GotEms on these pot stirrings? Well, let's see what they draw with the check the yellow pages first. All right, so okay, so this is looking more like some sort of yeah, maybe what I would call like a yellow starter deck type deck. Um with, but right, they could have anything in it, right? A modified yellow starter deck because they could still be running YumYum. So we really need okay, so the only way we're okay, so this is a YumYum game because we're so far behind. And we just again, right? So one of the challenges with this build of the deck is it just does have a lot of actions. So um yeah, so we just really need and we're still not getting any penguins. Okay, so right, we need to just yeah, so cuz if we use the GotEms now, they're going to draw cards. So we're still we're going to have to do that to keep them off 15, but right. So if they have an inspiring story, we're just going to lose. There's like no way around that. We really need okay, so we got a pot stirring. So that's basically the perfect penguin to get. If we could get one more penguin this turn, I mean at this point we're just all in on YumYum. So we might just have to yeah, so right. Yeah, so we're just gonna have to YumYum this turn. There's no well, okay, so let's think about this. So option 1 is we YumYum, but option 2 is we basically use our not your keys on the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. Yeah, let's do that. And then we use a GotEm. Okay, so we do just want to go I think we just need to play. Yeah, so we're gonna play not your keys. And we're gonna play the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes next turn. Did I play Rod already? No. So oh, so I should have played my penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. Okay, so we're gonna yeah, let's play both our penguins. I kind of think that we're not gonna have time to play. Yeah, we definitely need to play something. So I'll play the Wild Knight because we're gonna be short on penguins. Okay, so let's do this. So okay, so the idea is we're gonna play not your keys on the penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes because we're just trying to buy one turn. Okay, so we'll play that. And then we're going to play a GotEm on one of the pot stirrings. And then next turn we're gonna play YumYum. So this way we're preventing them from drawing any cards. And right, we're continuing to okay, so we'll remove a pot stirring. Okay, so that's gonna knock them down to 13. So we get one more turn. Um, and then next turn, right? Next turn is the YumYum turn. So the problem is, right, if they have a not your keys, we won't draw the cards either. But right, we were really far behind, and so now I feel like we have a shot again. Um, so still not ideal. Um, but okay, so we got another. So good thing we played that Prepare for Wild Night as a rod because we drew another one. So let's see what they do here. Um, okay, so they're yellow mega penguin. So as long as this doesn't hit a penguin that doesn't mind goodbyes. Okay, a bunkus. Okay, so this is some sort of like slower deck for sure. Okay, so we're going to so what do we want in our hand post YumYum? So we would like to have I think we actually yeah. I think we want to check the yellow pages because we're gonna need a lot of penguins. So yeah, let's go like this. But yeah, right. If this is a not your keys in their hand, then it's going to be we're still going to be in a good position, I guess, because they're going to have a lot of rods and we're going to have a lot of cards in hand. So um I wish we had one more pudge because then we could if we had no, we need yeah, if we had one more pudge, I could then also do a card draw card. So let's see what's going on. So they're going to yeah, so if they don't have a not your keys here, then I think we'll be in a really good position. If they have a not your keys, then it's gonna be up to who can draw more penguins faster. But at least I feel like we had a really, really slow start with no penguins. Okay, so they're gonna let this resolve, which is great because that means we're gonna be able to draw the cards. And so yeah, so I think we'll be in a good position. Now we didn't have any lucky penguins, so we're not gonna get initiative. We have basically infinite card draw. Where's our buddy ups? Okay, there's two of them are there. So yeah, so this kind of seems like it's gonna become a long game. Okay, so they're gonna get the bunkus, so they're gonna have a huge bunkus. Um, so yeah, so how are we gonna deal with the bunkus? I guess we need another put your flippers. So yeah, so we're kind of a bit shy on finishers. So I guess we will just yeah, so this game is far from over for sure because we're basically card advantage up 2, which again, I don't want to say that that's not a lot. Okay, so hmm, they did a full cycle with a bunkus. So they're hunkering down for the long game. I'm not sure I agree with that, but okay, so we're gonna win the vibe check here, which is maybe I should have gone for a tied vibe check actually. I would have played the would not play the held the daydreaming penguin back, then we could have done a tied vibe check because I really don't want them drawing cards. So um I'm not sure, but okay, perfect. So we're gonna be able to draw a ton of cards this turn. And I think we just want to kind of power for the win now because we want to push our advantage while we can. So we're gonna do, I think, yeah, so let's see. Okay, so there's no good way we can get rid of the extrovert, but we should be able to do put your flippers to outgrow it. Although we have nothing good, like, right, it could get countered by GotEm. So let's just see what we draw with these check the yellow pages. Because next turn we can play prepare for wild night. Um, on the same turn. Okay, and we want to let the first one resolve. Okay, so 2 lucky penguins, so that's good because that means in the case of another YumYum, we'll be in a good spot. Okay, and they're gonna get yeah, and I think actually what's it called? Lucky penguin. Okay, so we're gonna have full lucky penguin. So there's no way that another like so if another YumYum comes out, then we'll be in a good spot. So right, so what are we gonna lose to? We're gonna lose to this extrovert if we can't get a way to deal with it. But okay, we're gonna have our own extrovert, which I think we should be able to draw to grow faster. So how many rods are we gonna have? 3, 6. We can have 9 rods. So I kind of feel like we should just So do we want to play it faster or slower? Because we could just go extrovert lucky, and then put your flippers on the lucky penguin because that will then if they remove it, then we'll get another penguin back into play. So I think we'll do that. Um, and then the next turn, yeah, then our extrovert should be able to outgrow their extrovert just because we have such a full hand. So, yeah, so I think I like where we are. I think this is a good position. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I think really what really helped us here was that one play where we used the not your keys on the penguin that does mind goodbyes with the GotEm. And that shows again, GotEm against yellow can be so useful. And that's also why so many people play Inspiring Story. It's just because if they had an Inspiring Story, we would not have been able to pull that game out. So yeah, so let's see what they do here. I think they might be yeah, but yeah, I feel really good about our position here. So, right, so they didn't even play anything. So I think we go, okay, so nice. So we go extrovert, lucky penguin. We play a lucky penguin as a rod and play daydreaming. Okay. So now our lucky penguin is even bigger. So that means actually the initiative is going to have to be on them. So, yeah, so I think we got it from here because we have to put your flippers to respond. Worst case, we can dig with prepare for a night, wild night. But yeah, I like where we are. So, okay. So yeah, so let's start. Yeah, so maybe if they have 2 GotEms or 3 GotEms, but then we'd be in such a good position. All right, so to reflect back on kind of what happened, we played 3 games, we won 3 games, which is very good. I think, right, you could see basically in all 3 of those games the core game loop of how the deck works. I did think we got kind of lucky where we had really good matchups. So this deck is definitely has doesn't always have such a smooth sailing, but we also were really lucky with our draws, being able to find all the combo pieces we needed. I think the one exception was in that final game, we were really struggling on getting penguins at the beginning. So I think that maybe keeping the Wild Knight in the mulligan was a bit greedy, and we should have maybe just looked for penguins. But okay, cool. So thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.